You're listening to the Really Very Crunchy podcast solo episode. Emily is not here today, and it is just myself. So this is either going to be a really great experience for all of us as we share in this episode, or it's going to be awful, and maybe you just skip this one and wait until Emily comes back. She is resting. She's doing well. The baby is doing well. Everyone's doing well, and thank you all for who's been reaching out for messaging us and praying for us and just saying all the nice things. Things are going very, very well. It's been 2 weeks now, a little over 2 weeks. She was born on a Saturday, 2 weeks ago, last Saturday, and yeah, and we've just kind of been not going too hard at things, done a couple of little videos, not at my suggestion, they were actually Emily's idea. They were low effort in terms of physicality. So, no, I'm not, if you're wondering, I'm not pushing her to do anything. I have had to tell her not to squat, though, a couple of times. She's just like wanting to pick something up, and I'm like, no, don't do that. But, anyway, she is an amazing human and is recovering quite well. She is absolutely, as the rest of us are, absolutely smitten with our daughter. And I already see the baby getting bigger. It's crazy. It's been 2 weeks and the baby's like already a baby, not as newborn as she once was, which is just odd. Did not expect that quickly. And I know the newborn phase, it just goes by so fast. So we're trying to really savor it, really enjoy it, and it's going well for us. So thank you again for everybody who's been reaching out, and you guys are so nice. You guys are so sweet. I hear you. I read your stuff, especially in the Facebook group. If you haven't joined, links in the description. Lively bunch over there. I looked over at Emily because I feel like I just got to tell her this. Like we've gotten to 7,000 members in the Facebook group, which is just crazy. It's awesome. So we're excited about that. Communities are being built, and we're really glad you guys have really shown up there. So a couple of weeks ago, I asked you in the podcast world, what kind of questions do you have for me when I do a solo episode? I pushed for let me do a solo episode so you don't have to worry about the podcast this week. Next week, though, you better be ready. You better bring your A game. And so we'll see. So you guys asked tons of questions, all kinds of questions. I am going to go through the voice messages first. And our first one comes from Courtney. And we don't have locations or anything like that. I want to say, Courtney from Brooklyn, New York. You're on the air. But this is not how that works at all. So.
Hi, Jason. My name is Courtney. My husband and I have been active listeners of the podcast since day one.
Thank
and
you
we've
very
been
much.
Following you both on YouTube since the first video was posted. I did have one question.
Wow.
My husband and I are expecting a baby girl in November. It's our first child. We have always been so impressed listening to y'all on the podcast and the way you approach parenthood and talking about your children and the way you are just so close with your children and both play such active roles as Christian parents. My question for you is, as we approach this new season of parenthood, how do we reach to have that same bond with our daughter and make sure that we always have a close relationship with her? We know as Christian parents that our job is to first and foremost raise them to be Christians. But as far as this whole parenting thing and making sure we don't screw it up, what advice would you give us? Appreciate it and hope Emily and baby are recovering.
Yeah, so how to not screw up being a parent? Ask me in 10 years. Because as of right now, our oldest is almost 9. I think things are going well. I'm pretty sure things are going well. We have a 6-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a 2-week-old. And when you get advice, or when you get asked for advice on parenting, I may be of the age of like where I could have teenagers and different things. So like, I guess that kind of makes sense. But I also feel like I just started. Though I was a kid once. So, I mean, I had parents for 30 years of my life. I don't anymore. They're gone. Yeah, so there are things that you can do to obviously have a good relationship with your children at a young age. And I assume some of that translates over the years into, teenagehood and adulthood. I guess that the word we're looking for was adolescence, not teenagehood. I always hear, and Emily's always talked about this, like the first 5 years of a kid's life are huge. I mean, shout out to all the parents who didn't know that. I don't think mine did. I was bottle propped after all. So, there's that. So, yeah, I mean, the first 5 years are huge. Of course, that's when you're setting the family culture. That's when you're setting, like, how you talk to your kids, how you interact with your kids, how you teach your kids, how you respond to your kids. And at times, I have been the world's worst at that. I definitely don't feel like I'm a qualified person to talk about being a parent or a good parent, because though I do have a great relationship with my kids so far, and I hope that continues, I don't know. It's learning from my mistakes. I make mistakes all the time. I raise my voice too much. I sometimes have the dumbest expectations of like a 6-year-old. Like, I give instructions and the instructions are too complicated. So I don't have any coherent advice except this. When you do screw up, because you're going to, repairing. And I think your psychologists are starting to show this a lot. Repair with your kids. And that is simply giving up you got to be an adult. You got to give up your emotional state, your whatever you're holding on to. Like, don't hold a grudge against your child if they did something stupid. Just don't do it. Like, just repair with them. Fix how you interacted with them. That does not mean don't discipline. It does not mean they were right. It means don't go about it in just a cruddy way. Just don't. And if you do, repair. Your kids need to hear from you. I'm sorry, I was wrong, because you're modeling that. So that's what I know as for kids. My kids respond really well when I repair when I've done something really dumb or said something really dumb, or mean sounding or whatever. When they get to be teenagers, man, I see some tendencies in my kids where they're, some teenage tendencies where it's the attitude type of stuff that I didn't really expect to be dealing with yet, and yet it's here. And I've only seen it in teenagers before, so I'm like, what is this? So I don't know how to deal with teenagers, and I don't know how to deal with young adult kids. No idea. No clue. Again, just get back to me in 10 years, and I'll let you know all the ways I messed up. All right, Lauren.
Hi, Jason. This is Lauren. I live in northern Texas, and I was just wondering, what are some of yours and Emily's non-negotiables in the crunchy spectrum in terms of your day-to-day routine and kind of what that looks like? There's a lot of influencers out there that harp on daily red light and mouth taping and so on and so forth, and you have to do 15 to 20 different things a day in order to maintain a healthy lifestyle. And I'm just curious what yours and Emily's non-negotiables that you guys do every day without fail, even if it's not a product. Thanks so much.
Yeah, that's interesting. The things that we do that's non-negotiable is different from the things that we don't do that's non-negotiable. Obviously, the things we don't do, we don't have artificial dyes. We don't do artificial fragrances. We don't do really any fragrances. So there's some hard lines there, especially the things that directly affect the health. But like the things we do, there's obviously we try to go on walks as much as we possibly can. You get into things like red light therapy and all that. Yes, it's great. Yes, it has its uses, but it's not like a non-negotiable. I can't really think of many things that we actively do, which she would probably tell you some things, but that we actively do that's a non-negotiable. Like, everything's up for debate, right? I mean, come on. I mean, obviously, it's a lot of non-negotiable stuff is like family culture stuff. Like, we read to our kids. We make sure we read to our kids. We try to be calm and kind, that kind of thing. I don't know if that helps. It's and Emily's probably like shouting at me. If she's listening to this, she's shouting at me, "Why are you saying this? We obviously do." And but I can't think of any right now. Like I don't think about those things very much. We have reached such a level that we don't even think about our non-negotiables because we're perfect in all the things that we do. Our non-negotiables are just our life. Walks are a big one. Go for a walk every day if you can. I haven't been doing that in the last 2 weeks because I'm tired. Not as tired as Emily. I don't have breasts, so. All right. We've got Casey.
I would love to hear your side of embracing a crunchy lifestyle. My husband has been on board with our lifestyle changes from the beginning of my journey, but recently he's really started to delve into his own research and open his own eyes. And so I would just like to hear how that went from your perspective.
Yeah, that's a hard no on doing his own research. No, you got to put a stop to that right now. Listen, both of you don't need to be doing research on the crunchy things. Let's leave that up to one person. If both of you, listen, it is not a good idea for both people in the marriage to be doing the crunchy research. It's too much. It's too much. Because what if one of you gets conflicting research and then you start arguing about it and it's like, well, this study says this and this study says that, but that study's funded by that person and that study's funded by that company, and it's like, oh man, it's just a storm. Don't do it. Just designate one of you to do the research on the crunchy stuff, because then it just gets crazy. It just gets crazy because then you rely on each other, right? So you should have your certain roles in a marriage, right? And both of you don't need to be doing the crunchy research. No. You need somebody in the relationship to do the gaslighting, like that. Oh, it'll be fine. Seriously. It's fine. And then you need pushback. Both of you need to give a little bit of pushback because, listen, sometimes the crunchy, research gets people a little bit crazy. And I'm not talking about this from experience, okay, mind you. It gets a little crazy and you need that person to, like, rein it in a little bit. And if you're both just going that direction, like, fully, like, oh, I read this. Did you read this? Yeah, I read that too. And then it's just like, and it just builds. No. Tell him to stop. If you're already doing a bunch of the research, tell him to stop. Go fishing. Go fishing or hunting or build something. Don't, or, turn it into gardening or something. You could do that. Or yeah, niche down on your crunchy research, but don't both. No. Mm-mm. What was the question? What was the question? I would love to hear my side of embracing a crunchy lifestyle. I mean, again, and so there's also the other side of the spectrum where you have just a complete holdout, and I've addressed this in a couple of podcasts ago. It's like, if you're the man and your wife is like, she's crunchy and you're just fully opposed, like you have just fully opposed the whole thing, it's like, get over yourself. Come on. She's obviously right about some of it. Yes. Listen, I understand when there's like financial problems that come into the equation, when there's emotional problems, and there's limits to everything. Okay, there's a lot of, but if it's just you, really wishing you could just have your Lucky Charms in the morning, and you're like, I'm not giving them up. Well, okay, don't give them up, but like, don't not let your family change in a healthy direction if it's possible. Just, I mean, come on. Just get over yourself. You just don't want to be uncomfortable. That's the problem. A lot of opposition. And again, I'm talking about not about the deeper stuff. I'm talking about a lot of opposition is just you don't want to be uncomfortable. You like who you are, so you're just going to be who you are. It's like, get over yourself. I've said that before, and I don't know if it landed, but that's how I feel. So, when Emily started on the crunchy journey, it was a very gradual thing. And, as she talked to me about stuff, listen, I had a lot of other stuff going on. We both did. We had tons of different stuff going on, but she entered motherhood. I entered fatherhood, but motherhood, especially in the early stages, it's a more nurturing relationship. It's you're constantly thinking about the health of your baby, and I'm just at work and then not sleeping well at night and getting up early to help as much as I can with the baby, different things like that. So like my brain was never at health things so much other than I need to work out more or I need better sleep. So whenever she came in with like this new thing, like, hey, did you know that there's PFAS in your carpet or whatever? And I'm like, oh, that's crazy. What do we do about that? Or red dyes or whatever. And it's like, I just, as things came up, it's like, well, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's not good for you. And then look at the whole structure of our economy. Like, it's build things as cheap as you can and mark them up as high as you can. They don't care about your health. They don't, like, big companies don't. And so, for the most part, except our sponsors, of course. So I've never really fought it that much. There's been some things I'm like, really? Okay, whatever. And there's been things that she's seen, and it's like, okay, yeah, whatever, fine, but you can't be perfect. And, also individually, you want that Dr. Pepper? You go get yourself that Dr. Pepper. I will say, though, after, a couple of years of not having that Dr. Pepper, it's pretty disgusting when you actually try it again. It's not worth it. Let's go over to, we got Catherine and, we got two of them right here that are similar.
Hi, this is Catherine, and you might hear my little baby along with me. We want to know the name of every book that Jason has published and if they're available on Amazon, because I have a feeling that all of your podcast subscribers will buy them if you tell us.
Okay, and I think this one's related.
Hey, Jason. Just wondering if you were actually working on a new fiction work. I really enjoyed the Prototype D books and wondered if you're giving much thought to rebooting the whole fiction career. Thanks.
So you read Prototype D. Man, I loved writing that book. That was so much fun. It's 2 books. It was going to be 4, but my dad passed. The second one ends with not so much of a cliffhanger, so it kind of ends in and of itself. So it works to stand alone. Yes, I am rebooting my fiction writing career. My agent is actively pitching a series right now to several publishers, so it's to be determined what's going to happen there. I'm very excited. No, it's not the Robin Hood Western. That I'm still all about the Robin Hood Western. I want it to happen. I actually have a really great story in mind for it. It's not happening yet. Probably not for a few years. Whatever. But if the publishers don't want it, which I fully understand, I'll probably self-publish it because I really love it. And it's actually, my boys inspired me to write it. They're like, Dad, I really want you to write a kid's book, not a children's book, mind you, not like a board book or something but like, we're talking upper middle grade here. about robots. And it's like, well, I have written about robots, but yeah. And so I actually have a different idea that's more middle school, younger, all age appropriate, really, but like where kids could also read it. Because I was talking with Ginny Urich of 1,000 Hours Outside one time, and she was expressing to me that there's just a huge need for books for homeschooling families, because homeschooling, the vast majority of homeschooling families they want authors they can trust. Trust is in they're not going to throw in political stuff. They're not going to throw in just stuff that goes against our family values. And you get into some of these big fiction titles and they feel like they have to appease a certain group of people and throw in stuff that your kids don't need to read about. We need adventure. We need action. We need good, we need people to look up to in fiction. And I'm not saying that doesn't exist. There's plenty of it. But, there's not a lot of modern day authors. Not a ton. There's plenty. There are a lot, but there's not. It's you have to do a lot of research, I think, of authors that you can trust. Because you can have one series where it's just like, oh yeah, this is great, and then they write another series, and it's like, oh, that's not so good. I can't believe that was in there. That's happened a lot to me. So I mean, for my own books, no, I'm not going to list all the books I've written. I mean, like they have really great reviews on Amazon. You can look them up. I'm Jason D. Morrow if you ever want to check them out. Listen, they were not written for kids. They don't have language. They don't have violence. They don't have like sex or anything like that in them. Or I shouldn't say they don't have violence. There's like 9 books that they're a zombie. They're like superheroes and zombies, okay? And those are my best-selling books, actually. So it is zombies, and so there is like, shooting zombies, which can, I mean, if you can do that without violence, let me know how you would actually do that. But yeah, so it's not geared towards kids, so don't like go read it to your 5-year-old at night or anything like that. But I mean, it's relatively clean. Again, no like language or anything like that. So, but yeah, so those series I'm working on, so far pending titles, The Scrapyard Underground, something I'm working on a series. So if the publishers don't want it, I will be self-publishing it. Probably next year or so. It all just depends on if the publisher actually wants it. It's my favorite thing to do. It is my absolute favorite thing to do. I love making videos. I love doing the podcast. I love editing. I love storytelling in general. I love writing books, and it's from when I was a child. It is the number one career I wanted to have full time, and so I'm still in pursuit of that. And maybe one day it'll happen. When I'm 75, maybe that'll be my job. We'll see.
Hi, my name is Jessica, and my question is for Jason. Have you ever thought about writing a book for men? For example, something titled, So Your Wife Went Crunchy, Now What? Sort of like a funny guide for husbands trying to understand the why behind things like glass containers, ingredient labels, and a fragrance-free home. Thank you both for the podcast every week, and congratulations on your new baby girl.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Yes, actually, I pitched a book called So I Married a Crunchy Mom, and it was going to be a comedic self-reflection book about a husband who married a mom who turned into a crunchy mom. It was going to be a semi-satirical but also advice sort of book, and publishers didn't want it. We pitched it to I don't know how many publishers, I don't know, and they didn't want it. And it was after Emily's book went on sale, a little bit after they said nobody knows who I am, so they didn't like it. So there was one publisher which I agree, Emily's the star here. I'm just doing a solo episode to give her some rest. But there was one publisher who said, well, I like the idea, but could you just write a parenting book? And I'm like, my kids are 6 and 4, which I think was what they were at the time. Like, I'm not writing I need the parenting book. I need the parenting book. I don't need to write it. I don't have grown kids. I have not gone through the parenting journey. Why would I write a book? Actually, I don't need another parenting book. I hate parenting books. Every parenting book I have read needs to be about 10 pages, okay? Every single one of them. It's like, you just need to sell a PDF for $2. Get to the point. We don't need 500 pages of stories about you and your kid to hone in on the psychology of children. Just tell me what it is. Give me the information. I don't want to read your long parenting book. Just give me the info. Give me the info. Put it in very tiny 3-page book or something. 10 pages. That's fine. Or PDF or Kindle book so I can read it in one sitting and be done with it. Just give me a list of things to do based on the knowledge that you have. I need all these long parenting books. I don't want to write a parenting book. Well, let me tell you how to parent your teenagers. My son, when he was 5, he is 5. I don't have anything else to say. And then they get like, and then it gets so hokey. It's like there's just, I'm not going to name any books, but there's these psychology books about how kids' brains work and different things. And then, she starts getting into, my toddler wouldn't get off the top of the refrigerator, so I sat up there with him. I'm not getting up on top of a refrigerator. I'm going to pull him down and say, don't get on top of the refrigerator. It's dangerous. You're going to break your neck. How would you feel then, huh? See, I don't need to write a parenting book. No, it'd be awful. It'd be like, try not to yell at your kids if you can. You can't? Well, try to repair. If you can. If it's not too late, you've ruined your children. It's probably too late. Yeah, so if you have parenting books on your shelf, I'd be interested to know if you've actually read them cover to cover. I think you can make a business out of just, I know it's like Spark Notes or something like that, but just paraphrasing. They actually have apps for that, don't they? Where they just paraphrase business books. Business books are just about as bad. It's like publishers, I'm not going to trash publishers too much because I'm looking for a publisher for nonfiction books. They want you to hit a certain word count. And so it's interesting because it's like, but I have what I have to say, but that's not, I know what the standard word counts are and what they look for. And I see some of these parenting books going way beyond it. It's like, what are you guys doing? Like, why are you adding, like, if your goal is 50,000 words for a book, but like, you guys are going into the 100,000 word territory. It's like, come on. No. I think we should make it, for nonfiction, I think we should make the standard should be like 20,000 words. Get to the point. I'm going to write a book called Get to the Point. So no, there will be no book for men, coming from me. I'm not, well known enough. It's Emily. It's Emily. She's the popular one. No, I'm glad for it actually, because, not that she wants to be the popular one.
Hi, Jason, longtime listener, first-time caller, or whatever this is. I want to know what content creators you follow. I imagine your list might be a little different from Emily's, and I do kind of wonder if Emily would be familiar with Shauna the Mom or Jen Hamilton. Do you guys listen to Candace Owens? That's pretty controversial. But what is it that you are regularly including as part of your week, whether that's podcast or YouTube content creators, videos that pop up on your Facebook feed that you intentionally stop and watch? Who are you following?
Honestly, not that don't follow a lot of people, and it's weird because I want people to follow us. I'm like, hey, follow, subscribe, yeah, and I don't. Every time I follow Alan Peters on Instagram, he's a logo designer. He's phenomenal. Every time it pops up, it's just like, I love that. I just love his videos. Met him a couple of weeks ago too, and he's just a really great guy. There's a lot of great accounts out there that I don't particularly follow. So I'll tell you this, on podcasts, what I typically like to do, usually it's a guest form, like interview form podcast. I really like to it's based on the guest. There's podcasts like Diary of a CEO. I don't particularly care about that podcast, but I like some of the guests he gets on. And so whenever I see somebody interesting that pops up, yeah, I'll listen to it. Or, some of the bigger ones too, like if they have a good guest that I'm interested in, yeah, I'll listen to it. So the personalities themselves, not that much. And on social media, my Instagram, I'm not a big scroller. Emily's not a big scroller either. We actually intentionally don't scroll very often. But I've trained a couple of different algorithms. I've got like Instagram, and then I've got like the YouTube shorts. That when I do scroll, Instagram for mine personally is just like comedy stuff, just off the wall. Sometimes it becomes a little off color comedy. And it's like, didn't mean for that to happen, but that was hilarious. And then of course, YouTube, it's more learning stuff. A lot of my YouTube is like, content creation related, a lot of gear stuff. I'm always like reading up on microphone stuff, camera stuff. So really boring, honestly. We do not listen to Candace Owens. When she was doing that thing with, what was his name? The Baldoni and the Blake Lively, and then the Ryan something. We didn't even listen to it then. We'd see clips. We actually did a video about that because of her, I guess, and everybody started tagging her, and she commented on our video, which was kind of funny. But no, I've seen her in interviews before. I don't know. I have no opinion. I don't really know anything about her. I think she's a little bit monotone, but I don't know. Is that a bad take? I don't know. But yeah, and I don't know if Emily's heard of those people that you mentioned. I have never heard of those people. Most of the content, again, we don't consume a ton of content, but most of the content that I do consume, I have no idea who made it. I just, when I do scroll, which is not that often, it's just the Reels feed. And it's just, I don't know, usually just to make me laugh. Sorry, that's not a very cool answer. All right, who we got here?
Hi, Jason. This is Michelle from Lincoln, Nebraska. Our family loves listening to your podcast. My 10-year-old has a question.
Tell me a funny story about your life at 10 years old.
We love your show. Congratulations on the baby.
Thank you very much. 10 was a really weird time for me. Trying to think, I have to think in terms of like, where did I live when I was 10 years old? Because we moved like 5 or 6 times when I was a kid. That meant moving houses, moving schools, everything. Man. So when I was 10, there was a lot going on in my family. Not good stuff. And there was a lot of focus away from me when I was 10. Around that age. So I ended up, I was home alone a lot. I remember that. I was home alone a lot, which is just weird. But like, I was at that house by myself a lot. There was one time where I was by myself at home, 10 years old, and I'm swinging on a tire swing at home, and I like swing around by accident. I guess I kicked out from the trunk of the tree. And I swung around, and I couldn't stop myself, and my head just rammed right into the tree trunk, and I blacked out. And like, I don't even remember walking from the tree to the couch where I laid down, and I might have gotten a concussion, and nobody even knew about it. I'm telling you, like, I don't even remember actually hitting the tree. I remember the worst pain I've ever had in my head, crying a lot, and being completely alone. I don't even know if I told anybody, because I don't even know if anybody was home that day. It was crazy. I could have died, but here I am, and maybe that's what's wrong with me. Maybe that changed the trajectory of my life. Anyway, there was also another time when I was alone at home. It was nighttime. My parents were gone. My siblings were gone. I was by myself. It was freaky. We kind of lived in the woods, and I was just so creeped out because I just felt like somebody was going to drive up to the house and you know, kidnap me or something. And I was so terrified. I was crying. I was terrified. I crawled up under my bed, and I fell asleep under my bed, and my family came in hours later and found me, and they were all laughing because I was under my bed asleep, instead of like, oh, that's sad. You were under your bed in the fetal position, asleep, because you were terrified, because you're a child, because we were gone. Yeah, that was weird. These aren't very fun question or answers. Sorry. 10 years old, not the best year of my life. I hope yours is a lot better than mine. That was also a time where we lived in a neighborhood that had trails. It was very wooded, but it was all trails all around, and I just spent, if my family was home, I went out into the woods throughout the neighborhood by myself. I pretty much spent the year of 10 years old completely and utterly alone. And I, in a way, feel like that, you know, spurred my imagination quite a bit, but it was also kind of weird. Maybe that's why I'm kind of a loner now. I mean, I have friends, you know, but it's not like we're just texting every day. So, sorry if that's not a satisfactory answer. I hope your 10 years is more fun and eventful than mine. Go play a board game. All right, Rachel.
Okay, Jason, you said that you were kind of rascally as a little kid. Can you tell us more stories about, like, some crazy things you did as a kid, or, like, things that your mom was embarrassed of or anything like that?
Yeah.
Bye.
One time I was in kindergarten, and we were watching a movie. It was a DuckTales movie on a VHS, and the teacher didn't know whose movie it was. She just popped it in. Like, I'm thinking, okay, this is the same kindergarten, by the way, where I was spanked bare bottom in front of the whole class. I was in the bathroom. My pants were down, and they're staring at me. I see kids staring at me through the doorway. And so they're watching this DuckTales movie, and the one thing I remember over and over is me telling the teacher, hey, this is my movie. It's my movie. I own this tape, because she couldn't remember whose it was. And nobody else in the class was saying, no, that's my movie. And I got so far. I was so close. At the end of the day, she packed up the movie. She slipped it into my little green backpack. And then I was out the door. I was getting into my parents' car. And then the teacher stopped me. And she came up to the car and she said, I actually don't think this is your movie. That's all I remember. I don't know if there were any consequences for it. I think I might have been like, oh, okay, sorry, my bad. And then she just took it. I don't remember anything after it. I don't know if this was before or after the bare bottom spanking in front of the whole class, or when she threw away my paper watch because I was being rambunctious. You know, I'm starting to think I wasn't that bad of a kid. Maybe my leadership was a little bit to blame. Maybe adults have some responsibility for the kids that aren't so well behaved. Maybe don't pull their pants down and spank them in front of 24 children. Maybe that would keep me from, I don't know. It was the end of my crime career, though. I got caught early, so maybe that teacher scared me straight. You never know. Never know. What could I have been? I could have been like a mob boss if she hadn't have stopped me. Yeah, she hit me. She beat me around a little bit with a naked bottom. She might have done that a little bit, but maybe it's what put me on the right path. Maybe she knew what she was doing. I'm not advocating for that, by the way. So, all right. Here's another one.
When you met Emily, was she still a Catholic, or did you convert her to Protestantism? If so, how was that?
No, she was not Catholic when I met her, and I think her parents left the Catholic Church when she was a kid, so she didn't have any say in that part of her life, I don't think. So no, we're Protestant, I guess. I will say I do tend to have a little bit of I have some thoughts on the state of religion in America specifically, the state of plenty of denominations all over. You get into some of the Protestant stuff. Here's what I like about the Catholics, the Greek Orthodox, whatever. Like, I really like the reverence. I really like, and Emily would speak to this too. I really like how a lot of, if you're in it, which there's plenty of people who just go on Sunday, whatever, and they're not really in it. But if you're in it, you're doing more of the liturgical stuff. You're doing stuff. Your church is doing, and that's as a whole. I like the aspect of everybody's kind of focused on the same thing. And then church is definitely integrated in your life. And then in Protestant churches, I just don't feel like it's very, it's very localized to your specific church, and that could be good, it could be bad, it's just, and I don't really love how churches are set up. Protestant churches are set up. I don't like, let's do a great session of worship, and hey, it's time for announcements. Now let's get back into worship, and then, hey, let's do the offering. And then let's do the music. And then, hey, let's hear a message. And it's like, okay. And so, like, the flows are weird. And, I have gripes about how things are structured. I'm not saying it's nothing. None of them are perfect. But no, I mean, Emily and I are, we're actively, we're always seeking what is right for our family, and I don't think there is one path in terms of denomination. I think there, a lot of people believe a lot of different things, and I deeply respect. I deeply respect the reverence that the Catholic Church and the Greek Orthodox Church tends to have in their services. I don't agree with everything, and I don't agree with a lot of Protestants either. I don't agree with a lot of people. I'm kind of Thomas Jefferson. I picked up the Thomas Jefferson Bible, and I really like it. He took out all the verses that he didn't like, and I'm kidding, I didn't do that. But yeah, no, always seeking the truth, always seeking what's best for the family. I don't know if you've listened recently, but we are starting a crunchy cult, so that's where we go on Sundays now. The Church of Crunch. Not really. All right. So that is the end of the voice messages, I do believe, and so I'm going to hop over really quick to the Facebook group. Some of you left a text question. How much do you contribute to homeschooling as a dad? I do the business side of Really Very Crunchy. I work on the creative projects. Editing, all those things. I do. So the way we kind of structure things is I try to do as much as possible with Really Very Crunchy and the business side of everything, to take as much off of Emily's plate as I possibly can. She's obviously the star of the show. She writes so much of the content. She is the idea machine for so much of our content. She is incredible. But at the same time, I want to, as much as I can, give her the experience of being the stay-at-home mom, even though she does a lot of work, a ton of work with really very crunchy. My job is so I'm not actively just teaching all the time. Like I do little things like grammar quizzing at dinner and so, but I'm not sitting there. I have done homeschool, like, if maybe she had to go do, I don't know, whatever. I've done homeschool, not very often. She likes to do it because she doesn't like to, she wants to be in the lessons that she has planned as it continues throughout the year. And she kind of has her rhythm and I have my work rhythm, and it really works for our family. So, and I'm in the loop enough to know, like, if I need to step in, I can step in and go to the next thing with the kids. And I'm willing, but I'm working, and so is she. But I try to take as much of the, like, we even do, like, if I can help it, even like meetings, maybe we have meetings with brands or something like that. And I try to take those as much as I possibly can, unless they're like, we really need to meet with Emily because she's more popular than you and she's the star of the show. And, well, fine. But it'll have to be after homeschool. Keto update. Not very good. I've fallen off the wagon so much this year. I don't know. I love bread. I love pizza. But I'm actually back in it. I'm in ketosis right now, and I'm sticking with it. So I'm actually going to do a video about blood work. I need to get one now and then one for later, and just how that whole journey's going. Because I really need to get on it, because my child was bawling the other day about me dying because I wasn't eating keto, and I probably traumatized him by saying I'm eating keto so that I can try to heal my kidneys, because if I don't, they might fail, and he probably wasn't ready for that burden. And yet, here we are. How do you or Emily intend to nurture and support Emily during the postpartum phase? I mean, I'm doing the dishes for now. It's kind of getting old though. She actually did the dishes recently, and I'm like, oh yeah, you're ready. No, I'm sorry. She would be getting on to me right now if she heard this. I'm trying to not do too much work. I'm doing a solo episode. There's that. I told her not to squat the other day. She did it anyway. I don't know. It's like, you see what she needs and make sure you try to anticipate the needs. And in the mornings, early mornings, I try to go to bed early so that I'm ready around 5 or so, because the baby kind of keeps her up. Listen, the baby kind of keeps her up second half of the night, more than the first half of the night. And so by about 5 or 6 in the morning, she's like, could you take the baby? I take the baby as long as the baby will let me. And that's kind of working for us right now. She doesn't like my massages very much, but it's about time for her to start back on the dishes, really. So, all right. When and how to introduce The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings to children. The Hobbit, now. If they're 5 years, if they can comprehend words, The Hobbit, you're ready. Read The Hobbit to them. Lord of the Rings, okay. I have a controversial take here, and people aren't going to like it. Especially Tolkien nerds are not going to like it. There is a scenario in which you show the kids the movies before you read the books. And I understand they are not the same. They are not, it's not the same thing. I understand that. I will tell you this, though. I read the Lord of the Rings trilogy when I was a teenager, and maybe I'm dumb, but I was halfway through the book before I realized who anybody was and that there was a fellowship of 9 people. Like, I had no idea. Like, it took me that long. It took me a month to get through the Council of Elrond. So it's like, there's so much detail and so much going on in those books. With little kids, Lord of the Rings, I don't know. We actually showed, we went, when they did the extended versions in the theaters, I wanted to take the kids to see them. And of course, I tried to get them to close their eyes in certain parts because it's a little intense. And they were cool. They don't have nightmares. They loved it. They thought it was great. And I was mostly successful at having them cover their eyes in a couple of scary parts. But it does give you a good understanding of the books and how it's at least set up. And I think it will make them interested in reading it later because there is a lot more detail. There's a lot more story. There's a lot more. But honestly, there's so much lore in it. It's a little much for kids, little kids. I think once you get to about 11 or 12, if they're interested, go for it. They probably like it. There's some really great scenes in it. There's some really boring chapters too. That's the problem is that, you got The Hobbit. It's very storybook. It's very one chapter after another. There's something happening that's fun. Lord of the Rings, it's a different thing. It is a different thing. It depends on your kid, but I would wait a little older. Like I thought when I read The Hobbit to the kids, I thought, oh yeah, we're going through the whole thing. We're going to spend the next year reading all the Lord of the Rings. And then I kind of picked up the Fellowship of the Ring and started reading the first chapter and kind of thumbing through the chapters, refreshing my memory on how it went. I'm like, let's wait a few years. Let's wait a few years. I think they'll get bored. So doesn't mean it's not good. It's just, fatherhood tips and tricks. Don't be selfish. Marriage tips and tricks. Don't be selfish. Stop thinking about yourself all the time. Think about others. Be empathetic. Not pathetic, empathetic. How did you feel about the home birth? All right. I think this is a great one to end on because it's gonna segue into next week's episode. I'm assuming next week's episode we'll see if Emily's ready to get to work. I'm just kidding. It was an amazing experience. I'll just say that. The whole thing was, harder for her than me. I did have to stay up late. So that was a little bit of an issue. I like my sleep. And I'm like, okay, could you not have done this like in the afternoon? It's the middle of the night. I'm a little bit tired here. Okay. But we're going to talk about it in a later episode. I will say there is something, and we'll talk about it next time, that has made me bitter and angry towards the medical system because of the home birth. So we'll get into that in a later episode, if not next week. So I want to thank each and every one of you who reached out to us during this time of growing our family, and we've really felt all of you just with thinking about us, the comments, the words of encouragement. It's been so wonderful. Thank you for everybody who has joined the Facebook group. If you have not joined, the link is in the description. I hope this solo episode was fun. Recording it right now, I'm missing Emily. She is my other half. I'm bouncing my words off of me, and I don't know if it's working. So I won't make a habit of this. I really need her to feed off of, honestly. She is my other half. So I don't know if we've said this before, but she and I often talk about how together we make one really great creative brain. Individually, it's like, well, we're fine, but together, our creative brain works so well together. Separately, I'm sure she would do fine, but separately, it's like, oh, I am not as talented as she is. So anyway, thank you for listening. Hope you have enjoyed this week's solo episode of the Really Very Crunchy podcast, and we will see you next week.